I'm still trying to learn how to do this YouTube thing, and I kind of over talked on my first video, and I wasn't paying attention, and I said I can talk a lot. I get a little carried away when there's nobody here to um, balance me out. I tend to talk a lot, and I jump into a lot of rabbit holes, and sometimes my thoughts get smushed, and I wasn't paying attention. So I'm trying to do the second video, even though I know that I'm struggling. I mean, even now, I'm struggling with just doing this post or doing this video. I'm struggling. I'm worried. I'm worried I'm going crazy. I mean, that's just legit. I'm just worried about going crazy. I've had such a hard life, and a life I don't regret my life. I don't. Everything I've been through, all the pain, all the suffering, I think it's led me to this point. And I think me looking back and seeing what I've been through, and I might not know why exactly, but I do know that a lot of the things that I went through as a child has done a full circle, and I kind of can see a different perspective of some of the things I've went through, maybe preparing me for something. I think my anxiety that people keep telling me I need to take medicine because I'm socially awkward and I have high anxiety, and everybody's wanting me to take medicine, and I think it's just my body's way of telling me something's wrong. If I'm in a situation I'm not comfortable with and I start to get anxious, sometimes it helps me to stop and ask myself, okay, why are you being anxious? Why? What? Because the one thing about that I have found in all this is I like to feel safe. Alright, I want to feel safe. I've never felt safe. And I don't necessarily mean physically safe. I mean just safe. And that might be a little weird, because when people think of that, they think of safety as far as, you don't want to get shot, and you don't want to go into you're not going to walk into an alley, but just safe, just at peace, I guess. And I know that a lot of the things I've learned over the years are important. And I observe a lot. I observe people a lot. When I go on chats, I tend to talk a lot because I see a lot. I see a whole lot, and I just don't talk about it because people don't want to hear it. People just think I'm crazy. And sorry. But I see all that. I can look at me and see what's wrong with me, and then I can look at my house and see what's wrong with my house, and then I can look outside of my door and see what's wrong outside my door, and then I can look wider and farther, and I can just. And when you can't stop your brain from stopping, it's kind of like floodgates open. When an awareness hits you, it's like it ripples across your whole universe. And there's how do you it amazes me and scares me all at the same time. And it scares me because I don't know what I'm supposed to do with it. I don't know how I'm supposed to apply it. And they say that you go through things to learn and to achieve. It's the whole point of being here. But when you get to a point to where the things that you need to learn you won't find here, then what? Over the 4th of July weekend, I stepped out of my comfort zone quite a bit and went to a 4th of July party with people. I went with my daughter and her fiance, and I didn't know these people. Never met them before in my life. They were really different from me. And I'm a really reserved person, okay? I either say how I try to be very careful with what I say, and it's not because I'm scared to offend anybody, even though that's a little bit of it. It's more, when I speak, I want to speak my truth. You know, I'm very respectful. And let me back up just a little bit to the 4th of July day, because it didn't start with just me going to somewhere that I've never been. It started earlier that day with my daughter dragging me out of the house to go to spend 4th of July with her and her fiance and his family, and then a bunch of his friends, okay? I am not good with people, okay? Especially if I don't know them. I'm not good. And I have major social anxiety. But I know this about me. And I know that even though they wasn't going to understand, because even though my daughter kind of understands that I'm weird, she really truly doesn't understand me. And nobody does. And I don't expect anybody to really understand me. All I ask is that you just, respect that I am weird. And if I feel like if I'm acting weird, you just need to let me know so that I can try to adjust my behavior, because that's how I learn. I mean, but anyway, so we go to his family's house, and his family are Christians, and they are very respectful people. And I truly believe that the biggest form of respect and love is just having enough self-respect to respect other people and their home and their beliefs. I may not agree or 100% agree, and as long as it doesn't go completely against, something, then I'm just going to go with it. I'm not going to judge, teach their own. So I also made sure that I was dressed appropriately. I wasn't, I wanted to, I believe that depending on who you go around, some people you can dress certain ways. It's kind of like church, I guess. Or when you go to a job interview, I kind of take it like that. When I walk out this house, and that might sound a little backward, because it might sound like that I'm just trying to pretend to be something I'm not, but that's not true. It's just me respecting. I'm going into their bubble. I want to respect that. So we go. They were nice. They were considerate and respectful. They knew I was a little not uncomfortable, but they probably took me in. I was a little uncomfortable. I wasn't trying to be. I was trying to relax, but I can't help it. My anxiety gets up sometimes, and I'm just not able to relax around people. So, they didn't ignore me, but they didn't really pull me in too much, because I think they wasn't for sure how to deal with me, but they really respected me, and I appreciated that, and it made me relax a little bit. So when we left there, and I had a really good time, and I observed the family and the togetherness and everything, which was really nice to see, because I didn't grow up like that. So it was really nice to see that type of family, but it was a very structured family. So we leave a very structured family, and we go to this friend's house. That's completely different. I mean, completely out of my just. I was I've always avoided situations like this. Always. Because you never know what you're walking into. And I don't mean that in a bad way. And I'm just talking about personally. I never know how I'm going to react in certain situations. So I always avoid them. And with me here lately trying to become better, I'm trying slowly to come out of. I'm trying to learn. So, my first instinct though was to run. Just go home. You can't deal with this. Just go home. But I knew that I was overreacting and that I needed to calm down. And I sat down, and people, and they were nice, and there was music, and there were some people there that had tattoos and really, and goatees, and they were just goofing and playing, and some of them were they were drinking beer, and they were just, it was like family, and all these people knew each other. So this was a family of friends. People grew up with each other, so this was a very close knit family type situation with different people, different culture, different cultures, different ways of seeing things. It was just really weird, and I was so my it was like everything in me was firing all at once because there was just so much information going on, so much. There was so much going on. It was chaotic. It was completely chaotic, and there were people that were just relaxed and just going with the flow, and I felt a little awkward because I didn't know anybody. I really didn't know how to, you know, converse with these people. When I tried, I think I made them uncomfortable, which is why I'm more of an observer. And if you want to talk to me, I'm more than willing to talk, but it's just, I'm not a very forward person, I guess, in situations like that. The only time I'm really a forward person is if there's something that if something that I really disagree with is going on, and then I'm like, no. It's kind of like the alcohol. Um, there's a few incidences that happened that, um, the first one was a bad one. It was all me. My daughter needed to use the bathroom, so she asked the lady hosting the party if she could use the bathroom. And I was like, well, may I go too? That way you won't have to show me later. Because me and my daughter were pretty much the only two females there that wasn't familiar with the place. So I figured it'd be better off, for her to show us both at one time instead of me having to bother her later. So we walk in there, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on, and guys are setting up fireworks, and kids are running, and there's just all kinds of stuff going on, and I'm just trying to take it all in. But as soon as I walk into her house, I kind of just, I don't know what happened to me. It just kind of, I just went to severe panic, weird freak out mode. And I absolutely just followed my daughter to the bathroom, and I just stopped. She goes in, she shuts the door, and I'm just standing there like an idiot. Just like, I mean, like a statue. I'm just standing there because I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do. And I'm sitting there arguing with myself, just relax. Just relax. But I couldn't. So I was like standing there for a good 30 seconds arguing with myself, and then a little girl walks up to me, and she's like, ask me, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, this is great, because now I got kids worried. I'm like, I'm really freaking out, and this is not good. And I told her, I said, oh, I'm just waiting for the bathroom. And she just kind of looked at me. So I turned, and I walked back toward where the mother was, and I just kind of stood right there, like in the middle of the room. And she just kind of looked at me. I'm like, I'm sorry, I just have to stand here. I'm just really feeling really awkward and weird, and I just don't know what's going on. I'm just having a panic moment, I guess. I said, just please ignore me. I just need to stay here. And when my daughter gets out of the bathroom, I will go use the bathroom. And, I just didn't know how to explain to her what was going on with me, because I wasn't 100% sure what was going on with me, because I'd never acted like that before. So my daughter comes out, I go use the bathroom, and my dumbass decides to wear one of them old shirts that has the buttons at the bottom, which anybody who knows these clothes knows how this. I realized at that moment why people quit wearing stuff like that, because they're so freaking hard to deal with. And I was already freaking out, and I'm like, I couldn't get the stupid things to button back, and I'm like, okay, this is not worth it. I'm just gonna leave it unbuttoned and whatever. So I tuck it in the best I can and wash my hands, and I go on out the door, go back to where all the people are at and sit down, and then I'm like having to sit, and I'm just like, what in the hell happened? Why did you freak out like that? And I knew I embarrassed my daughter. And I'm like, I didn't mean to. I really didn't. And then there was another situation, where everybody was getting up and asking, hey, do you want a shot of this, or do you want a drink of this, or do you want this? And I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I drank a beer, and then I was like, that's my limit. I'm not drinking anymore. We're gonna be here. I'm good. Because I didn't. The people there, I didn't. If they wanted to do, whatever, I didn't care. But I was good. And I didn't want people to think that I was being uptight because I wasn't drinking and having fun. But that wasn't what it was. It was just, I was not in a situation where I was comfortable enough to just drink, and, and just because I had to have some sort of control. Because if something happened, I needed to have my brain and my mind and my logic to be able to get through it, right? So I decided not to drink. And everybody kept offering. And then one gentleman come up to me, and he's like, you don't be afraid to ask if you want something. And I was like, oh, no, please, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I appreciate it, I really do. And if I want something, I'll ask. But you don't have to keep it. You don't have to keep offering. And so they quit offering things to me. And when I needed something like Mountain Dew, because Mountain Dew is I really need to quit drinking it, but one of the girls was sitting on the cooler that had the Mountain Dew in it, and I had walked up to her and, asked her, could I please have a Mountain Dew? I mean, I have no problem asking for whatever, but I don't expect people to just, constantly, do you want, do you need, do you want, do you need kind of thing, because because that makes me feel like I'm being they invited me there to have all this fun, and I'm just sitting there watching, and I'm laughing, and I'm observing everybody, but I'm not really partaking in anything, so I'm sure that made them feel odd. They were good people, though, and really nice people. And afterward, later in the evening, when it got dark and all the kids, they put the blankets out, and the kids were sitting there, and the guys were out there in the field, and I just kind of stood there, and fireworks really do scare me. The loud noises scare me. I'm not really a firework person. I've actually tried to avoid going to watch fireworks pretty much because of the loud noise. But the kids were in the front, the parents were in the back watching, and I sat between. The kids were in front of me, the adults were behind me on the deck. I was in the grass, and I was leaning back, and I was watching the fireworks. And every time the firework would go off, I'd immediately jump, and I'd immediately start to panic because, well, I know that fireworks scare me. But then I kind of just let myself go, and I just kind of watched, and it was really awesome because the fireworks were like right up above me. It was like, it was beautiful. I really enjoyed myself, but at the same time that I enjoyed myself, I observed a lot, and I seen a lot of different things that I've never seen in my life. And that was why I was so anxious, because it was not anything I was familiar with. I'm used to the fights. I'm used to waiting for the other shoe to drop. I'm waiting for, anytime I get around people, I'm just waiting. Because that's been it's just how my life's been. You get around a bunch of people, and then you just automatically prepare. And I've always, that's my first instinct when I'm around people, to automatically just prepare myself. And that way when something happens, I can deal with it better. And the whole time that I'm enjoying myself at this party, I'm also freaking out, because I'm like, oh God, what's gonna happen? Are they gonna? Because people, family members, friends, they'd start talking about a subject that's going on in the world today, like statues or whatever, and you're sitting there and you're cringing, because you're like, how are they gonna fight, or is this gonna be what are they doing? So a lot of times I was just watching and preparing myself for the worst, and then when the worst wouldn't happen, I was like, okay, that's a new one, because usually and all day it seemed like I was prepared for the worst, and then the worst didn't happen. And the more that was just it's not my life. Everything always happens. And it was just nice to have one day of that, just one day, to know what that was like, to be able to be with family and friends, and not have to worry about the past or the future or my insecurities or your insecurities, but just nice just to be able to laugh and love and to have fun. And I think that out of everything I've done in my life, I thought that I needed to be a great mother, which I did the best I could. Be a great wife. I did the best I could with what knowledge I had. What lessons were given to me, which were never good, considering that I've had to take a lot of pain and suffering and try to apply it in my life, and a lot of times I applied it wrong because I didn't know any better. And to see that, and actually be able to watch and observe, and not just, it was beautiful. And that awareness kicks in. Because when you're so used to your own life and your own pain and your own suffering and just your own insecurities and your own fears and society's fears and society's wants and society's needs of who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to act, when you have all this crap on you, it gets all scattered. And you don't even know who you're supposed to be or what you're supposed to do or how you're supposed to do. Nothing. I've had everything stripped from me in ways that has made me not only bare but empty. It's like I've had to learn not only to have pain, but what it feels like on the other end of that. I've had to walk both sides of that to truly understand what betrayal means. To truly, because betrayal is the worst thing in the world, or one of the worst things in the world, to betray somebody. But you really don't understand the total concept of what betrayal is unless you've actually not only been through it, but actually done it and realized exactly what the hell it is. Or anger, like hitting somebody out of anger, or, I mean, so many different sides. You know, I always saw myself as a victim, fighting to not be a victim. You know, they always tell you, you're not a victim. You were a victim. You're not a victim. And all of these issues you have, all these fears and stuff, it's just because you were abused in one way or the other. These are all your scars and all your fears that are coming out, which is true. But I realized that uh, I'm not I'm not I'm not a victim. Not I'm I'm not I'm not the victim, and I'm not the bad guy. I've done things and I've had things done to me, but I've learned from those mistakes. I've learned the pain. I've learned to see people's to be able to be empathic. I believe in energy. I believe in emotions and feelings, which is kind of a conundrum for me because I'm not a very emotional feeling person, but I feel a lot. I see a lot, and sometimes when I do things or when I see things done, I don't look at what they're doing. I try to look at why. I try to look at the pain they're in, because we all do stupid stuff because we hurt. Some people can't get through that hurt. Some people can't wrap their minds around why it happened or how it happened. And that's because of whatever journey they're on. They just can't. I have decided, I don't like looking at myself as a victim. I like looking at myself as a blank card. I was born a blank card that's been getting filled and filled and filled and filled and filled with life. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm just kind of like, a lot of that stuff has gotten wiped away. And now I have to rebuild. I have to start writing on that card again. Problem is I don't know where to start. Because even though my life in one way or another has gotten me to this point, there's still so many things that I don't know or I don't understand. And that makes it hard to move forward. My heart is like pulling. I'm being pulled. I just don't understand what direction I'm being pulled at, because it's not like it's pulling to a certain direction. It's just being pulled. And I don't. It's like being. I don't know if y'all have ever seen Mortal Kombat, but and I don't know why I even thought about this, but when the one dude shoots his I think it was Scorpion, shoots his thing at Johnny Cage, I think it was, and the damn thing's going all the way around the trees, and he's trying to pull back. It's kind of reverse that. It's kind of like there's a rope tugging on me, and it's through all these trees and all these, it's in all kinds of different directions, and there's a single person out there somewhere, something specific holding on to it, pulling on me, but it's going in every single direction, and I can't focus on a direction. I can't get my mind to focus on one direction, because every time I do, it doesn't feel right. And there's not enough actual truth talk out there. And that's another problem. Everybody's wanting to tell you or tell me, hey, if you feel this way, you need to do this. If you feel this way, you need to do that. I'm not going to tell you what to do, or I can tell you what I do. I mean, that's the best I got. And the one thing that I do try to do is my poetry. And I haven't wrote in a while because my emotions and my everything's just, which is kind of why I'm doing this, because I seem to do better talking than here lately, because I can talk anybody's ear off about a lot of stuff. It's a lot harder for me to put it on paper now because my brain goes so quick, and I jump through so many rabbit holes, and I can't pull myself back sometimes, which happens in these videos a lot. I can't pull myself back enough to stay focused. So, and I've tried everything, and it doesn't help. It just makes me fall deeper into. I, I, I can either focus on one thing or the other. I can't do both. It's really complicated, and I understand that probably makes no sense, but I try to, like, watching movies. I can sit and focus on watch a movie, but I can't sit and focus and watch a movie and then try to deal with. I have to give something my full attention. I can do many things at once, depending on what I'm doing, but most of that stuff is more physical, not as much mentally. If I'm up doing stuff, or if I have a list, I can organize myself in a way to get some things done when I need to get done. But a lot of times I have to focus on one or the other. I can't do both. And if there's a lot of chaos around, forget it. I have to focus on one thing or one emotion, or not one emotion, but one energy. I guess that would be the best way of doing it. I'm really good with dealing with energy, depending on how the energy is. I'm better at dealing with energy. And I can deal with chaos to an extent. But when there's a lot of chaotic energy, I can't deal with that. That's hard. It's very hard. I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to not be confusing. But anyway, but the other thing is that there's and if there is a lot of people keeping it real, kudos to y'all. That's awesome, because I think one thing this world needs is a lot more truth. I don't. I think that not having truth is what's hurting us. Not having honesty is what's hurting us. Not being able to fulfill our dreams is hurting us. Because if somebody has a dream of being an artist, then why do people have to jump through so many hoops to achieve something that they should be able to share?